Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kari Waltz. I share tips, tools, and techniques for the artist in you. And today I'm going to share with you several tips on how I pack for a trip. There's several little hacks along the way, so stay tuned. If any of this content is helpful to you, please consider subscribing or give me a thumbs up, ask me questions. I love to share what I have learned with others, and I really appreciate your feedback. So check out what I have in store for gouache, whether I'm sitting down or I choose to stand up. I have two different things I'm going to share with you today. So I do plein air paint. These paintings behind me are done in oil in plein air, but I didn't want to take my oils with me. You have to deal with, where am I going to put them when they're drying? How am I going to transport them? What size do I want? All the other things that you can take that accumulate weight quite a bit. And I wanted to be able to just take off and hike on this trip if I wanted to, and then sit down and paint. Now, I can get my watercolor kit down to 1/4 of a pound if I'm real serious about going small and lightweight, but I'm not quite that limited on this trip. I'm not going to be hiking extensive miles, and I do want to be able to stop and paint and stop and paint and stop and paint. And I chose, instead of taking my oils and my pastels, I'm only taking watercolor and gouache. Those are more portable, and I don't have to worry about drying time on any of them because I don't flood my watercolor or my gouache with water. So this is my gouache setup. I have a reminder to get my current journal and slide it in here before I go. Right now it's in my watercolor kit. I have a spring ring that I use to secure the zipper. Right now there's a little carabiner clip on there, but those often break, but that's my backup. Spare Sharpie, you never know when you need one. This is a seat cushion so that when I'm sitting outside, I can sit on the ground. It's waterproof, gives me a little bit more comfort than just, whoops, sorry about that, than just sitting on the ground. It's from Wide Sea, SEA. Anyway, it's a new gadget for me. I have other things I sit on, but I like the fact that that could fold down and fit inside. Over here, I have a water container and a spray bottle, a wristband that I sometimes use to wipe my brush, and a roll of trash bags that I clip on, and always have those. Those are doggy-doo bags, make great trash bags and don't take up much space. And then you can throw them away when you get back. Just because sometimes I can't remember what I put in things, I have a little tag, has my name on it just in case it gets lost, but on the back it says gouache. So I know that this is my gouache bag, and I can just grab and go, and I won't have to think, oh, now, which one did I put the watercolor in? Okay, here's a little inexpensive carabiner clip, but I've noticed that these zippers, when I have stuff weighted in it, if I don't have something to clip these zippers together, see, here's a tip for you. If you don't have something to clip, then as you have the weight of this pulls this down sometimes, or maybe it pulls open this way. I've had it open up like that before. And so this is just a great way, easy way to clip it together. Doesn't take but a second. And see, it won't come undone. Now, they might slide together, but they won't come undone. So helpful, helpful, helpful. All right, this is a Wheelcore outdoor little backpack. I don't know if they make those anymore, but I've seen some in other companies since then, so I know things like that are available. All right, little overkill on what's in here, but I'm going to show you anyway. I'm an Invisalign customer, so that's where my Invisaligns will go when I have a snack. On the inside, I have a Swiss Army knife. Anytime I can find something that has my name actually printed, that has my name spelled correctly, I purchase it because it's rare. But anyway, that's on the inside. And this pocket in here has some personal items. Toothbrush. How many of you carry a toothbrush? Well, I kind of have to with this. These are insect repellent dots. They're citronella dots that are just stick on and very helpful. Lotion, lip balm. This is industrial strength Velcro, the back and the front, that has a pull-off sticky. Never know when you're going to need that, and it comes in handy. And I also have some more insect repellent. I don't think I'll need it this time of year, but I'm just going to keep it in here. I'm going to really try to keep this pack always what it is, because I've now accumulated enough supplies that I can have them in different places. Before, I wasn't quite able to do that. All right, this is a pencil box that I made myself out of duct tape. I love duct tape. And a piece of cardboard. So notice the arrow. I want it to always keep my brushes upright. And here's some more of that industrial strength Velcro, so it'll stay closed. But I used the duct tape and clear packing tape to create a little pocket. I put a pencil there because things kept falling through the hole. And then I just slide my paintbrushes in. And I usually always have a mechanical pencil so I can have something to draw. This is a skewer that had splinters on the end, and I just put a little bit of duct tape on that. And if you'll notice, each of my brushes has a little line on it. You can, oh, that one's hard to see because it's silver, but do you see how these black ones all have a line painted on them? Well, I usually use duct tape to identify my brushes, but sometimes that gets hung up on stuff. So I've just taken, it's fingernail polish that I've painted all the way around each of my brushes. So if I'm ever painting with other friends, then I'll know which brushes are mine if we happen to borrow, or, you know, hey, try this. Anyway, so I have that. It securely stays shut. This pencil keeps them from falling out over here, and I just pull it close. This folds over, that's the top. So I keep it right over here, but I'll lay it down for now. All right, one of the things that I'm really excited about, well, I guess excited as I can be, is this lovely clipboard. I use clipboards for all sorts of things, and I really wanted a way to secure some smaller paintings to my tripod, and I wanted to use a quick release plate. Well, this was the perfect size for what I needed, but the quick release plate, I didn't want to drill a hole through here, and this screw would not come out of the quick release plate. So what I did is I got a piece of corrugated plastic. I should, if I can find a spare piece of it. It's kind of like cardboard, but it's made out of a polypropylene something or another. It's very lightweight. Signs are made out of it. I cut a rectangle of that, punched a hole in it to where the tip end of this screw would fit, and that allowed this to fit flat, flush against my clipboard. And then I just used, again, my lucky duct tape to secure that. So if I ever want to remove this, I have not damaged my quick release plate, nor have I damaged my clipboard. Might have to use Goo Gone to get the sticky off, but that is very secure. So I will show you in a little bit what I do with this. I'm going to set it aside for right now. It will work for painting in my lap, or actually, I'll just do that now. Okay, I have several bags inside. I'm going to put this aside for a second. I have several bags inside this bag, and they all have a purpose. So I'll show you what they are. Little crazy. All right, this is if I want to paint with something other than gouache, or if I need extra white gouache, I have that available. Sometimes I use watercolor and gouache at the same time. If I want to spend time organizing my composition, I have a variety of things in here that'll help me with that. But the main thing I want to show you is this one. I found I got this at the Forgotten Coast on Plein Air. And what I love about it is I can clip it to my clipboard, and I can see through and find my composition. I can look through at the scene of what I'm looking at and say, you know, there's a tree here. If I want that tree right here, then I can remind myself with the dry erase, you know, what is the scene that I'm painting. If I don't want to use it that way, I can just look through it while I'm painting to remind myself I'm only painting this section. You know, limit yourself when you're looking outside. This is called Quick, Q-U-I-C-K-O-M-P, Quick Comp, and really enjoy that. This other stuff has to do with dynamic symmetry. I'm not even going to go into that right now. Okay, so keep that together with the dry erase marker. I only use this when I'm really concentrating on composition. A lot of times I can just do that without the use of this, but it's a great tool to have. If I want to work in my journal, the way that my setup is right now, I will be holding what I'm painting, and all my paint supplies will be attached to this. Okay, so this is a journal that I made the other day. It's just one signature worth, and I tore the pages. Whoop, cat fur. Sorry about that. Happens in my house. So anyway, as you can tell, I kind of like blues, turquoise. I really love these little clipboards because when I'm working, now I kept the plastic on it. I like that, just protect it. But say if I'm working on this page, I can just clip it like this. I can hold it with my hand, you know, on the back, and I have a good supported surface. I can do it without that, but because this isn't a bound notebook or sketchbook, I really like having the clipboard. That does add weight to my little bag, but I'm all right with that. Most of the time when I hike, my backpack, especially if we're spending the night at the top of LeConte Lodge or somewhere. My backpack's over 20 pounds. And if I choose to carry filming supplies, it's gonna weigh more. Well, it'll weigh more than what this will be. Okay, so that's if I want to paint on my journal, I get this bag out. Put this over here. Okay. If I want to paint on a panel, I have a variety of choices. I have multimedia artboard panels. I have a Yes panel. The Yes is a company or a product, ultra smooth primed cotton, and you can paint oil, acrylic, Cason, permanent or water-based markers, shellac, all sorts of stuff. Gouache also works. So this is the Yes panel, and this is a gesso board that has a nice smooth surface, works just fine. The multimedia artboards, what I love about those, and I'll show you the company logo. What I love about these is they're so lightweight and they're so thin. They do not warp. Now they can chip. They are a little brittle, so you have to be careful with them. But when I want to paint on them or paint with them, I'll mount them to another surface. So this is a 4x5 piece of multimedia artboard, and it's taped to a Yes panel that still has its plastic cover. And I've measured around so that the tape edge is the same all the way around. Another good thing about multimedia artboard, the tape does not rip when you remove, the paper does not rip when you remove it. So it's very, very easy to use, especially with gouache. Gouache, it's one of my favorite surfaces for gouache. So to keep me ready and not wasting time when I get to my location, I want to have this prep already done. Otherwise, I'll just work right in my journal. Okay. This bag is my cleaning and paper towel supply. This clip is in there to clip my paper towels to my palette so it doesn't blow away in the wind. If you want to be more economic or environmentally friendly, you can use the ShamWow sponge kind of material or a sweatband. I just fold up paper towels and use those. I mean, I use a variety. I also like to have Q-tips to clean my palette and sometimes lift paint. So it's good to have that. But I keep all that together. Okay. My biggest little bag I like to keep it in this position. This has all sorts of tools that I will show you. Here's my water bottle that I already have water in it. I found this at Walmart. It was a 2-pack. It's in the kitchen area. It's actually for spices. You can see you have the shape or the measuring, and this part comes out if you don't want to use it. But it's like, oh, I could brush my brush across it. But I'm not sure if I'll keep that in there. But what I loved, it had this rubberized seal, pressed down, and then clamp. So I've tested it out, and so far, I have had no leakage. Okay. Then I have all my drawing tools that I like to have on hand, or tools. I always like something that has a straight edge. A triangle is wonderful because it also has a 90-degree angle if you want to measure something and get it accurate, especially if you're doing some kind of architecture, if you feel like you need to get the angle right. I usually carry 2 water brushes because occasionally, in rare occasions, one of them will mess up, or more so than not, I find somebody who's interested in what I'm doing and I like to show them what I do. Another tip is to take your tape. This was a business card, and I just wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped around my business card so that when I needed the tape, I just had to lift it up, tear off what I need, and lay down what I don't. That takes up a lot less room than a roll of tape. I really like these Uniball eyes to sketch with. This one's waterproof. I don't believe all of them are, but they're great to sketch with and they don't cost much. This is my favorite white pen. It's a Uniball Signo. It's very opaque, so if I make a mistake or I want to put a touch of highlight in there, I can do that. I always love to have these little pipettes. Makes me feel like I'm back in science class. So if I run out of water with my brushes, I can just dip this in here, suck up the water that I need, and put it in my water brush. All right, so I have 2 of those. Occasionally, I come across one that my cat has chewed on, and it's not as efficient. Okay, I always like to have a 005 micron, either a micron or a Prismacolor pen. This is what I do, the teeny, 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 tiny line work. A mechanical pencil, make sure you have lead in it, and never have to sharpen a pencil. You always have that. This is a new little gadget that, not really gadget, but tool that I use, supply. It's a China glass marker, but it's the white. Years before Sharpies were made, we used to use the black China marker to mark moving boxes when we moved, and now we have Sharpies for that. But this is what I use sometimes to save the whites on my watercolors and gouache. And if I want to experiment a little bit with my Elegant Writer, it's a black pen. It's actually just a calligraphy pen, but it's one that if you hit with water, it'll bleed out and have a colorful ink. So occasionally I just want to play with that, and I just like to have those handy. So this is my tool bag. Well, my drawing bag, more so. Anyway, actually that tape should probably be in a different bag. Okay, here is some of the fun. Here's some options. If I don't want to use this for water, if I don't feel like I need that much water, these are cups that I used to buy for oil painting. I still oil paint, but it has this nice seal, so I can put a little bit of water in there and clip it on the corner of my clipboard if I want to. It actually fits better over here where the Velcro isn't. Okay, so that just will attach to whatever you're working on. So if you just need a small amount of water. When I'm using gouache, a lot of times I'll use the traditional brushes like I showed you at the beginning rather than the water brush. But if I am not using the water brush, then I have to have a water source. But this is just one option for where to put your water. This is my favorite because I put Velcro on the bottom. There we go. See, it really doesn't fall off. Industrial strength Velcro. Who knew? I got a whole, oh, here, let's see. Here's a box. Industrial strength Velcro. Holds up to 10 pounds. One roll, 15 feet by 2 inches. I've had it for quite a while, and I still have a lot in there. But it is so helpful for so many things. But as you can see, it sticks pretty good. But I have 3 sections so that depending on if I want to turn it this way and I want to have my water over here, or maybe I need the water here, maybe I'm working this direction. I don't know. I just wanted to have an option. So that is probably where it'll be most of the time. Large clips to clip down your art, your journals if you need to. This is some of my favorite new tools. I got 24 of these magnets in a container, ordered them online, and I think I've used all 24 because I use them and I just spread them. I wanted to get a whole bunch so that I could put them in all my little kits, and so I would have them available. So I will show you in a minute what I do with those. All right. Finally, my container of gouache. I keep this in this blue bag on the bottom because I want it to stay flat like that. It will be okay if it gets tilted, but some of the gouache in here, after I work on it and get it loose and a little more runny, I just don't want to make a mess. Okay, this is my gouache palette. I made a key and taped it down with a clear packing tape. Even though the colors are really, really bright, and I could probably be able to tell what they are without the key on gouache, I just like that. I've added a few since then and haven't gone back and made a new key. I do want you to see a little tip here that I have. This is a very large needle. Now, very large needle. When I want to work and loosen up my gouache, I can use a, sorry, I'm getting that rubber band. I can use a palette knife, but sometimes a palette knife is just too big for what I need to do. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have just recently gone through and stirred these up and checked on, make sure that they're not too dry. So when I stir it up like this, and I can run this needle along the edge and kind of get off what's accumulated. And then as I pull off, I rotate that needle back and forth to get most of the paint off. And it'll stay in there. And then I just take a paper towel. Well, I don't need all of them. Let's just take one. Take a paper towel, wipe that off. Okay, and go from there. So I can go into the next color, stir that up. I don't have to do this every time I paint, but if I paint often, it's fine. But if I let it sit for, well, one time I let it sit for several months, and I came back and found some mold in it, and it's like, oh, what do I do about that? Well, what you do about that is you get some clove oil, And if you were here and had smell vision, which doesn't exist yet, I put a couple of drops of clove oil on the top of this, and it smells like cloves when I open it up, but it keeps it from drying out. So my issue before I added this rubber band was, what am I going to do with this top when I'm painting? Because I can put this here, but where am I going to put this? So I decided to add the rubber band, and notice the blue rubber band matches. I put a little blue color right here with a marker, metallic marker, so that I could remember when I put this lid on, it only goes a certain way. See how these two are closer together than these two? It only fits a certain way, so that the side with the blue is the side over here. So that's just helpful for me. Now what I've done though, I've decided to flip this over, lay all these flat, and then I'm going to carry this rubber band around to this side. I'm going to get a clip. I love these binder clips. And I'm going to clip this end there. And I'm going to put the rubber band there. All right. So this isn't moving. Matter of fact, I can slide it down a little bit. There. I want room for my water, but I don't need much else. Okay, that is now secure. This I set right in it. That's not going anywhere. Woo! What do you think? That's kind of cool, isn't it? All right. Next thing is I have a palette. Now, I didn't have to have this on a clipboard, but there's times when I use this palette and I don't have this board. So it's just easier for me to leave it clipped all the time. And if I want a clear palette, I just take this off and remove it. I've got another one down below. But the reason why I left this is I can still use this paint. Gouache, I can re-wet and it reactivates, and then I can paint with it. So I really don't like to waste any paint. So this is my setup for when I'm working. And then I have whatever I'm painting in my hand. Break in the filming, I had to redo the last part because as I was looking at the film and realized that I had gone off camera with what I was talking about, and that's rather frustrating. So I'm redoing it. But I do want to show you one improvement that I made since I filmed the first part. The bag that I put this in, everything in, I found that even though all the separate bags that I put in it were sorted by topic, as soon as I opened the bag, it kind of fell apart. So I reinforced the bag by putting an Amazon box. I'm sure all of you have one of those. I reinforced the corners with my duct tape so that I can sort things and they'll stand up in the bag, and I can put things on either side, on the outside of the bag or the box that I want to. And it's so much more convenient when it sits down. I can even, tuck things in like this if I want to, so that I can get to it that way. So let me show you the total final setup that I have with my gouache and watercolor, and I can paint whatever I want to. So. Okay, in my lap I have my gouache palette secure. Actually, everything is secure on this clipboard. Right now this clipboard's just sitting in my lap. The palette paper can be used again. I clipped a paper towel to clean my brush, but this is how I use my favorite little tools. I just clip these upside down to where the magnet is up. My two favorite limited palettes. This one has the 3 primaries plus burnt sienna. This one has, and it just sits right there. This one, isn't that cute? Before the kiss. This one has my convenience colors, what I call them. The peacock blue, magenta, dioxazine purple, and gamboge. So those go right here. So if I want to add watercolor to my gouache, I can use this as a mixing palette for gouache, these as mixing palettes for my watercolor. I have additional water here. This is an additional white gouache. This didn't stick to that, so that went there. I couldn't remember if that part got cut from the video or not, but this is my final setup. I hold my journal in my hand. I'm just about to start a new journal. So right on the front, please handle with clean hands. And the last tip of the day, I think is tip number, I don't know, it might be 38. I'm not sure. I hadn't kept up. Is I cut a piece of wax paper so that when I am painting in my journal, this page will stay clean and then I can paint on this one. Also, what's cool with these little gadgets is if I don't want to get all this out and I just want my watercolors, I can set that there, clip to several pieces of paper, and it protects this while I paint, and I can just paint over here. So if I just want a small setup, this is a really great way to keep a very small one. Then you can put both of them on there if you want 8 colors. And then I use my water brush that does not need a water container. It has the water in the handle. So whatever you want. What I love about this, it gives me options, and I can be as simple or as complex as I feel that day. I hope all these crazy ideas have given you some good ideas, and it gives you some reason to get out and have some fun, paint with some friends, or go by yourself if you prefer. But this setup, you could even do in the car. There's no excuse not to go out and paint. It is so therapeutic. Y'all have got to try it. All right, so I am starting a new journal. I've got my protective sheet. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to pack this all up because I'm going to Tennessee soon. And I will be, hopefully, painting what I see. If not, I'll be working from photos when I get back. Have a great day.